Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, we're back with Yvonne Luca today and we're so excited. So many of you have had questions on what the property purchase process is like, what costs are associated with it, and a bunch of other questions. And Yvonne has agreed to take us through that process and let us know the answers to all of those questions, plus more. So here we are. Hi Yvonne, how are you?
Good morning. Fine. Thank you. Fine.
Good. Okay, so you wanted to touch bases a little bit on some hopeful news that you had gotten regarding the government. Is that what you wanted to say a
Yeah,
little something on that?
yes. I have a brilliant news just to communicate. Yes, the president of Italian Republic, after the recent government crisis, he decided just to instruct the former president of European Central Bank, Professor Mario Draghi, to organize a new government. He is one of the most brilliant minds in Europe. And I sincerely hope that the Italian political parties can find in him a great element of pragmatism, because this is important for us.
Yes.
Necessary just to overcome the pandemic and relaunch the economy.
Yeah.
I am very confident and he is the right man to cool down financial speculations, but also to plan the future European investment plan. A great opportunity for Italy.
Oh, this is wonderful news. I know I was watching the situation with the government and kind of going, well, I'll just wait and see how this goes. So this is really great news. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the purchasing process and the costs and things that are associated with that. And later on, we can discuss, rentals and things like that if you have time.
Yeah. Yes. First of all, I want to thank you, all the people that contact me, and requested the information about the real estate services, and I try to answer everyone in the right time. I noticed that a great interest in Calabria, and that is a wonderful and still unexplored tourist destination.
Yes.
Yes. Now, this time, just I want to share with you some information regarding how to manage properties in Italy. But just a first note regarding the buying process, because I received a lot of inquiries about this.
Okay.
And then we can discuss how to manage the property and what costs are involved.
Super.
Yes. What about the buying process? It's quite simply today. In fact, you, Mrs. Chris, mentioned several times, that the real estate process, the real estate purchase process is very safe and fast, possibly using the service or real estate agent. But above all, I want to emphasize that using a notary bank account to finalize the purchasing process is the best and safest procedure for buying a property in Italy. This bank account, specific for the notaries in Italy, is regulated by a specific Italian law. This law is from the year 2017. And therefore it's a very safe and convenient service that I recommend to use in case of investment in Italy, because the idea to open a bank account it's a little bit complicated, for foreigners.
Right.
In fact, I remember in the past that often to open a bank account in Italy for foreign, useful for the real estate process and purchase. In the past, we had to wait a lot of times, a lot of days, due to bureaucratic checks, bank checks,
Yes.
and with long waits and waste of useful time for our clients. Who
Right.
instead of enjoying the sea and the Calabrian beaches, okay, had to wait a lot of hours for a simple interview with the bank manager or signing many documents only in Italian.
Yes. Now, for a comparison, the account for the notary is very much like the American or Californian escrow account.
Yeah.
An account held by a third party so that your money is safe. And in this case, it's held by
Absolutely safe.
yeah. And the notary, for those who don't know, you need to take my course and understand who the notary is. But the notary is there to make sure that everything is done per Italian real estate law. Always make sure you use a notary. I would never buy anything without one because you're just not protected. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yes. Now, about the figure of a real estate manager and the property manager, is essential for those who don't want to live permanently in Italy. As a simple payment of local taxes, as a simple comparison with the construction companies for renovation and quotes, this professional figure is growing a lot in Calabria. Yeah. And we certainly recommend using the service that we offer. My real estate agency, Casabella, founded in 1982 from my parents, okay, have been developing this sector, okay, after sales services, and for more than 10 years, and has found a point of reference in my professional figure. Yeah. Today, I interact with the whole world thanks to the modern technologies. And to tell the truth, I feel very satisfied when I can resolve problems for my clients.
Yes.
And then certainly it should be noted that in summer months, especially just for example in August, it's not easy to find a plumber or electrician available immediately.
Right. Yes, we noticed, the summer months, just for our guys who are going to look at properties, don't come in August unless you just want to hang out and enjoy Calabria in August, because everybody is completely slammed with work. It's just not even an option. So one of the things we've been doing with you, Yvonne, and I want our viewers to know that, is, we've noticed some things in our apartment in Praia Mare that needed to be fixed, and now that we have some downtime, we're getting them fixed. And Yvonne has been wonderful about being there, about lining up the proper professionals, getting really good quotes, very fair prices, and getting this stuff done quickly and efficiently. And we really appreciate that.
Thank you. And I try to do the best. Thank you.
Yeah. And the bill payment services, that's another service that you provide. And as an American coming over, you don't just write a check for your bills. I don't even know what the process is. I think you have to go stand at the post office sometimes, right?
Yeah. In fact, I have to commonly go to the post office a few times per week, okay? Because, I collect all the bills and do the service for now many clients, because it's important to respect the expiring dates of the bills, and it's so bureaucratic, too much bureaucracy in Italy, okay? But you need someone just up to you, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so different. And every time, what we do is we basically meet with Yvonne every time we're there. We top up our account, and then things get paid. We go over what's been paid and how much is left. It's just a lovely system. And to be honest, I've never had a day's worry with Yvonne on the bill payments. It's just been a huge relief to know that somebody understands that process, knows where to go, knows what to keep, your eye on, like the expiration dates on various things, and certain deadlines for taxes to be paid. These are all very important, and it's so fun to run over and buy a property, but then you have this. So Yvonne offers a wonderful service in that regard. So yeah, it's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now, just I'd like to start with the what is the process of the local taxes in Italy? Okay.
Yes.
Because just they need to understand everything. Okay. It's always somewhat difficult matter. Okay. Because the Italian, regulatory system is always in constant change.
Yes.
And we have the central government that made the laws, okay, and then each municipality implements or changes only according to the particular budgetary and social needs. The most important taxes, local taxes in Italy, are three. The first one is Emu, that is the property tax or council tax. The second one is the garbage tax, and the name of garbage tax in Italy is Tari. And then, yes, then the third tax is water and sewage system, that in Italian is Servizio Idrico Integrato. Now we start with the Emu Tax. Each property in Italy has a cadastral rental value, that is rendita catastale, that is reported in the deed. You will need just to know the value in order to determine the amount of Emu that you have to pay every year. Rendita catastale is a figure given to the property, calculated using the various factors, such as the size of the property, the materials used, the year it was built, and also other details. If you buy a property and then carry out a renovation project, the rendita catastale will change, could be changed if, I don't know, some clients want to renovate and to have some new rooms, okay, in this case. The rendita catastale will change, and when the project is completed, okay. From this figure, it's possible to find out the valore catastale, which is used just to calculate or the purchase taxes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Usually, this valore catastale is of a property is around 50-75% of the market value of the property.
Oh, I see.
Or even less.
Okay, and that's the basis that's used to decide on the taxes.
Yeah. In fact, usually, another important information is that usually the value is lower in the historic centers, the value of cadastral value, while is higher in the case of modern properties recently built. Okay.
Okay.
There are some differences. Okay.
Yeah.
Regarding the Emu, has to be paid one or two times per year. If it's paid just one time per year, the deadline is the 18th of June, or it's possible to pay. It's possible to pay 50% in the middle of June and the other 50% in the middle of December. Okay, or every year.
Okay.
Okay, and yes, this is just regarding the property tax.
Yeah.
Then we have a garbage tax that is Tari. Yes, it's the Italian waste tax, called tassa dei rifiuti or Tari. Is a municipal charge on the cost of disposal of solid waste and refuse. If you own or have a property in Italy, this is likely to produce trash. You are required to pay the tax.
Yes.
Tari consists of two parts: a fixed part and variable part.
Okay.
The fixed part on the Tari is calculated based on the area of the house, in square meters, okay?
Okay.
Plus another fixed unitary rate. Then the variable tariff, part of the tariff, change according to the number of members of the family or people living in the property. Just this is for the garbage tax. Who pay tariff in Italy? Who pays the tariff tax in Italy? Is the owner that must pay the tax, or the person who pays the tariff must be the one who lives in the property, or a tenant in a rented apartment, or the occupant who is using it.
Okay.
Sorry, my English sometimes is.
No, that makes sense. So basically, the owner of the property, if you're living in the property, you're going to pay. If you are a renter, you're going to pay the tariff.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if your renter doesn't pay the tariff? Do they attach a lien?
There is a direct responsibility. The owner has to pay. Yes.
I see. Okay. That's another good thing to pay attention to. Okay, good.
And commonly, I received some other inquiries regarding how much the back taxes do we have to pay.
Yeah.
The end term for tariff, Emu Tax, and water is after 5 years. Like all local taxes in Italy, for all the local taxes in Italy. This means that the municipal council cannot send an assessment notice for unpaid local taxes like garbage, property tax, and water if more than 5 years have passed since the year in which the tax was to be paid.
Okay, so that brings up a question. Now, many times people are looking at properties that have been abandoned, or let's say you're purchasing a property from someone and they haven't paid. Is it something that you might end up paying 5 years?
No, because pay the local taxes is a direct responsibility of the owner. Okay, it's not possible. Then, just for example, it's possible, I don't know, to buy a ruin or abandoned property. The person that is going to buy the property has to go to the municipality and start the new contract, local contract in his name. Okay.
I see.
Without thinking about the rest of unpaid taxes. Okay. It's necessary to start with the new contracts in the name of the owner. This is important.
Now, is that something that you can provide as a service? If, let's say, somebody buys remotely, is that something that you could help with as a service?
Yes, it's possible. Yes, it's possible.
Wonderful. Yeah, because
in this case, I need a special power for this, but it's possible to interact with the municipalities, with tax office that are in the municipalities. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Yeah. That's wonderful. Pete and I are going to be rolling out a remote property purchase program, which of course you're going to be involved in when we get over there. And it's nice to know that you can be a one-stop shop for all their needs, for changing things over, for setting up contracts and doing that kind of stuff. That's really good to know.
Thank you. Another news information is that when the municipality sends a bill for unpaid local taxes, it cannot only claim back taxes for the least 5 years and no more. Okay, this is just maximum timing that we have, 5 years. Okay, and in fact, however, if the municipality send an invoice, a notice of payment before the 5 years are up, okay, it interrupts the limitation period and the period begins again. Okay, this is important.
I see.
Yeah, because if they send a registered letter to the owner, this interrupt the terms. Okay, are interrupted. Okay. And the limitation period for penalties for failure to pay TARI and Emu is always also 5 years.
5 years. Okay, good. What are the penalties? Let's say you forget to pay your municipal tax or your TARI tax. What kind of penalties are you looking at?
It's possible to insert in the when I don't know a person is made a late payment for property tax to pay a maximum 12 months with the ravvedimento operoso. That is a little interest rates more, okay, of about 2-3%, okay. If the timing is more than 12 months, then it's possible to receive some penalties of big amount of the 30% more. Okay, it's just the time.
Okay, that's good to know.
And then finally, the water and the sewage system. Okay, that is servizio idrico integrato. Okay, the water services are under the responsibility of the municipalities. Okay? It's possible to start by made a contract at the tax office and then insert the data of the water meter and its serial number. This is very important, okay? And the relative reading is important, that has to be communicated to the municipality and the local municipality, yes. Okay. The tax of water is divided in two parts, okay? The fixed part is the average is about, in our area, or about 50-60 euros per year, just like fixed part, okay? Yes. And then we have the variable part that the cubic meters of water consumed, okay? Mm-hmm. And commonly the cost varies according to the different municipalities of about 2 euros, 3 euros per cubic meters. Okay? That's consumed, okay? Just this. But important information, there are new development. Okay, there is a new idea, New Deal.
Yeah, New Deal.
Is that the next few years the local municipalities are planning the installation of the electronic meters. Okay. Okay. For the water. This will improve the accuracy of the invoices, okay? Because commonly, if someone has not time to send the reading every year, commonly the municipality then they send to the owners of the properties some estimated invoices, okay? Just if with the opportunity of the new electronic water meters would be different in future, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really accurate. That would be great.
Yes. And finally, just the amount of, when I interact with the clients, okay, the amount of water and sewage, the annual bills vary case to case, okay? But the average that I register is considered about 50-60 cubic meters of consumed every year. The cost more or less is about 200 euro per year for a second home. Okay,
that's great.
Not so huge amount. Okay,
yeah, not at all.
And then I want to share with you is just the condo fees. Okay, because in the historic center, if someone wants to buy something in the historic center, there are no condo fees to pay. Okay, right. But in a typical complex building from the 80s and more, it's important to interact and understand what is the Italian system. Okay, about the condo fees.
Yeah.
Il condominio in italiano is a community of owners, okay, and it's managed by an amministratore in italiano, and with the help of a president and secretary during the meeting, okay.
Okay.
And and each condominio its own codice fiscale, the Italian tax code, and a bank account. This is important because it's possible to transfer the money directly in a bank account of the condominium. Okay, this is important.
Yeah.
In case of someone want to pay the condo fees, the condominium is created when a number of people own properties that share common areas such as swimming pool, gardens, parking areas, walkways, foundations, and supporting walls and facade, roof, corridors, staircases, many things. Okay,
All of that.
and the ownership of common areas comes with responsibility for the same, and all owners must contribute to their maintenance. Okay, this is very important. How to calculate the condominium charges? Okay, depending on a number of factors that are surface, floor, terrace, garden, garage, and more. And each apartment is a share of common parts. Okay, shared costs. Okay,
Right.
because depend of the size of the property, and then these are totally shared costs. Okay, and there is a a report made by the administrator for the total costs for the building in common areas, and then are shared according to the size of the apartment. This is important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
And what do condominium charges cover? Okay, they cover the expenses of the maintenance of all common areas. Here, an example that can generally include, okay, electricity for the common areas, lights and the walkways, corridors, car park, swimming pool, and water for the common areas like swimming pool, irrigation, cleaning, and the cleaning of walkways, corridors, lifts, swimming pool, and car parking space. Then at the same time, the general cost is the condominium manager salary. This is important.
Yeah.
And the building insurance, because the common areas are insured for in case of accident. Okay, just the common areas.
Okay, that's good to
The
know.
private unit has to be insured with a different contract. Okay, private contract. Okay.
I see. Okay. And so basically, there's a few things that I noticed as you go through, Scalea and the other areas, you find some condo places that are really well kept and others that are not quite so well kept. So is that, I know there are different things like our apartment in Praia, we don't really have a condo. We don't pay condos fees. We just, as owners, we get together and we pay money and we get things done, and it just works beautifully. So is that something people need to keep an eye on? I mean, if you're going into a condo and you see it's not kept up,
Because,
you might want to have some thoughts, no?
We had a renovation of facade starting from about 7-8 years ago. I mean, in Scalea. And now, in fact, the facade of the buildings is totally different, okay, and safe.
Yeah.
Okay? But there are some buildings that the situation is not so very good, okay, because it's not easy to contact the owners, to have a meeting every time, okay.
Right.
And there are some buildings that I prefer just to avoid to buy some.
Yes. in every city there.
It's just, I don't know, 4 or 5% of the buildings, but in some specific area, not in the city center. Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, it's just we had a very big deals in the past of renovation of facade. Okay, because in Scalea and the rest of the other area of coast, we had a big boom of buildings in the 80s. Okay, and after 35 years old, it's necessary to renovate, to have a very good outside facade for the security of the persons and the guests. Okay, it's important.
Yeah, we noticed that that in the last few years, a big change. It's almost like everybody decided to renovate the facades and fix everything up all at the same time. So it's very nice to see that.
And then some last information is just always the condo fees. Okay.
Yeah.
They just be required just to place some money as fund in case of future expenses, such as this replacement of roof, major repairs. It's important that sometimes the condominium chiefs ask to the owners an extra fund just for renovations. Okay, In Italy now there are some laws that support. There are many tax benefits for this. Okay. But it's necessary commonly to have a residency in Italy because you need an accountant just to receive these tax benefits in 5-10 years. Okay. But there are many deals and benefits and government support for these renovations or change the energy class of the building or units. Okay. This is maybe it's time to do something.
Yeah. There's so many enticements now in Italy for people to renovate, to become energy efficient, to put up solar and that sort of thing. And I'm getting a lot of questions on those, and I have to get started really researching those so I can advise. There's a lot of benefits, not only on that, but also for expats moving over to Italy and certain tax breaks and things like that they get. So there's a lot of things being rolled out that once you know all these things, you can really save a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over a little bit. Let's say you wanted to purchase a rental property or something that you could rent out in August. What would be your main concern? What would you look for?
Well, what is important, to first of all, the important thing is that the property has to be in good condition.
Yes.
Because every time something happens.
Always.
The boiler doesn't work, the electric boiler, or the door doesn't, the main door doesn't work. Okay, the important thing is just to, before the summertime, okay, just to organize checks, okay, this is important, okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that for the rental market, to receive by the renters, the tenants, okay, a security deposit, because this is very important, because something happens or there are some damages in the apartment, we have a security deposit, okay, the documents of the persons, okay, is important, but the security deposit is the most important thing. Okay?
Yes, okay. Good.
And yes, okay, and the check of the, and at the same time to understand what is the general laws that respect laws of condominium laws, okay, because some condominium chiefs, they are not so confident to receive the renters in big buildings, okay. And it's important just to check this, okay.
Yeah, that's actually really good to know, because there may be requirements that you don't rent out your place. I haven't even thought about that, but that is true.
Yeah. Because just for example, in August there are a lot of tourists, okay, and just for example, it's not possible to park 2 cars in the common in the condominium areas, okay, just 1 car, okay. And in this case, okay, it's important just to give this information to the renters, okay, that is not is just 1 car is available in the to live in the condo area.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Oh, this brings up another question I've had. It's totally random question, but parking in Scalea has always been a big mystery for me, because you have those blue parking things.
Yes.
What does that mean? Can you just briefly go over the parking situation in summer?
Well, yes. Generally in Italy, there are some differences of the colors differences. Okay. Yeah. When you saw just in at the streets, the blue lines, it's not for free. Okay, you have to pay a tariff per hour. And commonly it's about €1, maximum €2 per hour, okay? And it's possible to buy the tickets for the parking space or to tabaccheria, okay? Or to some special places, okay? I hope that in the future we will have some automatic payment, get the cash machine.
Nice. I know, it's just such a mystery. Oh, good. Okay, so you've clarified that. Now, I've noticed sometimes in the not summer, is that always the case with the blue lines, or is it only in summer?
Yes, in case of yes,
Okay,
there
okay.
are some exceptions, but
Yeah.
commonly when you saw blue lines, it's not for free.
You
The
should.
white lines totally for free. Okay, this is just
Okay.
important.
That clears it up for me. Thank you. That was really a
You're
big
welcome.
question in my mind. So, okay, good. Well, we've touched on a lot of different things. I'm going to have more for the next time we get together, but this is really good. People do have a lot of questions on, what are the costs associated with a purchase? And maybe we can go over that a little bit next time. What are the costs associated with buying, with the actual purchase process? We can touch on that. It's a whole video itself. But this is really good. This really gives them an idea of what they expect to pay for the various different taxes and whatnot. So thank you for that, Yvonne. That's really
You're welcome.
helpful.
Grazie.
Sì, prego.